Hello, I'm Nikki, and I have a message today from Arch Angel Chamuel, who I instinctively want to call Chamuel, but when I look it up, the English pronunciation is Chamuel. So, this is a message from Arch Angel Chamuel, and if you are somebody who considers yourself on the path of, wanting to walk with Christ consciousness, wanting to manifest complete love and affection towards all mankind, then this is definitely a message for you. This message was originally channeled on June 19th, 2026 at 11:44 p.m. It is now July 1st that I'm recording this video. I'm just now getting around to it. Okay. Anyways, when I first received this download, the imagery that came to mind was an apple, a rose, and a heart. When I asked for clarification, I was reminded that roses are often associated as a symbol of purity, and apples are often associated as a symbol of sin because of the Genesis story. However, I was also being called to remind you that roses and apples are actually of the same genetic family. They come from the same origin, just like all of us. And today's message is about dealing with projections from others. So, the apple, the rose, and the heart. This message is to help you re-ground into your heart space and move through the world heart-led. Okay, so here was the message. In order to remain in oneness, it is important to remember that projections of anger or jealousy are signs of fear in yourself and in others. When you are the projector, you must ask yourself, what is it that I fear? What is the core root? Face it fully and let it go with grace, faith, and acceptance that you are safe, guided, protected, and that whatever is meant to be shall be. Faith over fear. If you are being projected onto, it is not your job to fight back. It is your job to alleviate the fear. How? Be present with them. Listen intently. Recognize the fear that is speaking and respond with love and grace. Hold space. Should the projections continue, then you set boundaries by simply removing your energy and presence, because again, it is not your job to fight back. You don't have to do that. The divine and your guides can do the fighting for you. And even they don't have to, because everything balances as it should. Now, I'm being called to bring in an example. So let's say you're in a relationship, like a partnership, a romantic partnership, and your partner is feeling some type of way about somebody else who they might be seeing as a threat to the relationship. Perhaps it's pulling up some kind of insecurity. Perhaps they start to project a little bit onto you, feeling as though you might leave them. They may say things, like bringing up the attention that maybe you give this person or the interactions you've had with this person. They may begin to project those insecurities onto you, even if you have absolutely no interest at all in that person. It's not your job to get defensive and angry and fight back. Christ consciousness says, recognize the fear that is being presented to you. Okay, my partner is telling me silly things right now about this person and myself. I can feel that the root of this is insecurity. It is a fear that they are not enough and that I am going to go run to the next thing. Or leave them for whoever it is that they're insecure about. In that moment, what I can do then is hold space, validate their feelings, even if I don't totally agree, even if I know very well that that is not at all what I'm doing, but just in the sense of like validating, I see what it is that you are trying to show me, which is that you are scared. I feel it. And because I love you and I care about you, I don't mind holding the space and taking the time to ease your mind, to restore peace to your heart. So again, in those moments, your partner may be projecting onto you. You could start feeling defensive. You could start feeling frustrated and annoyed. And also these days, a lot of people preach so much about like confidence and confidence and confidence. So then to the point that, especially in the West, people will view insecurity as like a sign, like it's a weakness. It's totally a weakness. And they'll even see it as like, insecure partners, or, you know, your partner gets insecure and it's like, oh, a turn off, and they criticize you or make you feel small for it. But the thing is that is life. You're going to have moments where you feel unsure, when you feel unsteady, when you feel insecure, not just in romance, but in so many other chapters and avenues. The ones who love you don't mind taking the time to hold that space until you feel secure again. They will do what they can to help you feel secure again. And again, it's not to say that you should take projections forever, because it's also the other person's responsibility to manage their emotions. So if it does become that kind of dynamic where it's becoming an abusive pattern, then no, it's not your job to just stay there forever and be a doormat. However, you may be surprised to see how quickly problems and conflicts are resolved when we actually just hold space and have grace. The gist of it, don't take it personal, because it's not. They're scared. Can you relate to the fear? Can you understand it enough to speak life back into this person? Because this is also what's happening when you are in those states of like projecting because you're upset or whatever, you know? Your life force energy is low-key kind of like spilling out of you. So, that being said, notice the leak and help them stop the leak. And it doesn't have to be done with force. It doesn't have to be done with a fight. Again, it can just be handled with space and grace. So me recognizing the insecurity in my partner, I'm going to speak life into them. I'm going to reaffirm to them the connection that we have, the dedication that I have for them. I will do what I can to help them quiet the little monster in their head that's whispering lies. Because that's what love does. Love doesn't ask you to be perfect. No. Love asks you to come honest. It asks you to show up, and to show up honestly. So, if you're still here listening to this, thank you. I hope that this message was received in the way that you needed. Because we also sometimes tend to be conflict avoidant as humans. And this isn't about avoiding anything. This is about facing it full on, except going beyond the surface of the anger, the jealousy, the insecurity, to the depth. Where is that fear seed that's been planted that is now sprouting. Just like weeds in the garden, you can't just rip the leaves. You got to get in there and get the roots out of the soil. So, if you consider yourself a light worker, if you consider yourself somebody who's trying to lead a life with Christ consciousness, this is your message today. Remember, projections of anger and jealousy and of the like are signs of fear. And it is not your job to fight. It is your job to hold space, have grace, and alleviate the fear for yourself and for others. Thanks. I love ya, and God bless ya.